Hey friends, I wanted to tell a quick surgery related story that didn't make it into our surgery AMA episode. I wondered a lot before my surgery how long it would take to start feeling normal again. Like, just being real, they're turning my penis inside out, right? So there's no way that's not going to feel weird for at least a certain amount of time. And it was one question that I didn't really see people answering in all of the reading that I did leading up to my surgery. So I want to tell the story of the first time my body started to feel normal after I had my surgery. I had my first follow-up with my surgeon 9 days after my surgery date. And they do a lot of things at this appointment. After the surgery, they more or less suture your crotch shut. There's this plastic bolster thing that goes over top of the new vagina to help keep its shape and to keep the packing in. And there are sutures that are sewn through the skin of your inner thighs and crotch that hold that in place. And they're fucking vicious, like just being real. There's also like a mile of packing that goes inside to hold the vagina open and to absorb blood. And of course, last but certainly not least, there's the goddamn catheter. And all of that comes out at the first post-op visit, or at least it did for me. And there's one thing that I'm really scared about for this visit, and that's whether or not I'm going to be able to pee. For those who don't know, my fiance Celeste and I had our surgeries about a week apart from one another. Hers was actually 5 days before mine. She couldn't pee at her first appointment and had to keep the catheter in for another week. And no fucking way I was letting that happening to me. So they take the sutures out, which was at the time the weirdest combination of pain and relief I've ever felt ever. My crotch was no longer sewn shut. Yeah. But the nurse also had to actually, pull the sutures out, which really hurt. And then the packing came out, which, remember how I said the sutures coming out was the weirdest combination of pain and relief I've ever felt? The packing coming out was even weirder. And once that's over, the only monster left to overcome is, of course, the actual peeing. And now to test whether or not you can pee, basically, they disconnect your catheter bag, they shoot saline into your bladder until you feel like you're going to pop, and then they see if you can pee. And there's lots of swelling down there, and some people just can't at first. But that catheter hurt so much, I was determined. So the nurse started to shoot the saline into my bladder and told me that I should tell her when I'm like a 9 out of 10 on the I have to pee scale. So that's what I did. And she takes the catheter tube completely out, and I'm like, I'm not actually sure I'm going to be able to hold it. Are you expecting me to walk to the bathroom? Are you going to give me a bedpan? Or what are we doing here? And she promises me that I can hold it. I'll be okay. So I tell her, okay, I'll trust you. You're the expert. So I slowly get up, and sure enough, I start slowly losing it. I'm naked from the waist down, and I have this cloth blanket they gave me to cover myself with, and I'm expected to walk down the hall to the bathroom before my bladder empties out completely. I'm totally drugged up on pain meds and scared out of my mind, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what if I pee enough, but it all ends up on the floor so they don't think I peed enough? Like, this could be a disaster. So I start shuffling down the hall. My mom's behind me, making sure I don't fall, and I'm just repeating over and over again in the most pathetic voice, I'm not doing a good job. I'm not doing a good job. And then finally, at last, I make it to the toilet. I pee, and to my everlasting relief, I peed enough to satisfy the doctor and the nurses that I was functioning okay down there. And after making my way back to the exam room, it was time for them to show me how to dilate. And dilating, for those who don't know, it's basically where they give you some medical-grade dildos to keep your vagina open enough to eventually stick penises and penis-shaped things inside when you've healed enough. And it took the nurse, I think, like 10 or 15 minutes to come in to start that process. And in the time I was waiting, I was actually able to relax. I didn't have anyone poking or prodding at me. I wasn't moving around and irritating the incisions. I didn't have to pee. I didn't have the goddamn catheter. And suddenly, I noticed my body. There was still a little pain, but it was well enough controlled, and I was able to relax enough to sort of mentally explore the way my body felt now. And I was shocked to find that it already felt right. I was distinctly aware of my lack of penis and scrotum, and it was just right. It was as right and as awesome as I hoped it would be. 9 days after my surgery. I never doubted whether or not I was doing the right thing in having surgery. I dealt with dysphoria enough to know that it was a necessary step to take. What I didn't realize was that it would feel so good that soon after. It was a pretty amazing feeling, and it's only gotten better since. Thanks so much for watching, friends. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the podcast anywhere podcasts can be found. And if you really love us, head over to patreon.com/thegaytheistmanifesto and make a donation to help support us in advancing the evil gay agenda. Mwah.